positive, but they were energizing, I'm sure. So I'm going to welcome Quinn to come speak to us now. The shortest person in Dallas and the tallest. Okay, that's right. Okay. Say it again. Say it again. Oh well. Okay. Okay. All right. So, well.
Greetings.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for being here. Not, just for me, but for being here, especially those that you show up on a regular basis. This is really important stuff. This is really important stuff. Groups like this are really important. Regina's doing really important things. It's only possible, the more of us that show up, the more of us that participate, the more real it is, the more powerful it is. And it is only possible with a lot of people. So, most of you here are pretty aware that the current paradigm, the facets of the system, the institution, don't benefit the things that we deem as important, right? They don't benefit health, they don't benefit freedom, they don't benefit honesty, they don't benefit our security or our protection, they don't benefit our ease, free time, right? The whole system, whatever facet you look at, education, healthcare, agricultural, judicial, all of the systems are designed to suppress. They're designed to tax, to regulate, to keep you busy, right? You guys are aware of that at least at some level, at some depth. Some of you are more aware of it in certain facets. Fluoride, right? It was put in your water on purpose, okay? It wasn't actually put there because a group of people believed that it really helped you. It was the people that were in charge of getting integrated in the system knew that it was devastating for the health, and that's why it was put in there. Okay? 9/11, right? If you guys have heard Jim Mars or read his book or other things that she has done or been a part of, you know that 9/11, right? Exactly. You know that 9/11 was not what George Bush says it was. Right? You at least know that. You know that there were facets of our country, of our life, right? People that are supposed to be here to protect us that were actually orchestrating that event, right? So if you know things like that, you know things like fluoride, that's a very dark truth. That's a very dark reality to be aware of. And all of us here would probably agree that that is the truth, right? So we could spend hours and hours and days. Jim Mars' book on 9/11, it's like, mass amounts of data. So you could spend a lot of time researching and looking at all of this. And I admire anybody who takes enough time to educate themselves, to do research on these critical issues. But simultaneously, if we just know about the one thing, like fluoride or 9/11, that's enough to prove, without a doubt, for us to know that the system that is currently in place is not there for our benefit. It's there for our detriment, right? So if we know that to be true, I myself, as an honorable man, as an honorable being, I have to do something about that. I have to. I have to do something about that. I can't just continue to live on my life. I can't continue to live on in this world without doing something about that. And there's a lot of things that we can do. And we all have different roles. Right? So we don't all have to do the same thing. Right? In fact, we're actually better off if we come as a group like this for a common purpose, but fulfill different facets of what that purpose is, right? A plan, right? So everyone here seems to be pretty aware of the whole fluoride thing, and so I'll use that sort of as an example. So whether it's fluoride, whether it's chemtrails, whether it's Monsanto, whether it's marijuana laws, you've got all these different activist groups, and they do these protests, and they do this protesting, and they call their congressmen or their senators or their politicians, right? Or they send emails or blah 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 blah. Okay, well if we know that the system is in play on purpose, and it's not to support your well-being, why when you go to these people and you send them emails or you hold signs up or you protest, why would that change anything? Really, realistically, it's not. It's not going to change anything. The only way it potentially will is if there's so many people that say, this is unacceptable, we will not stand for this, we will not pay taxes to this, we will not support this, we will not work for this, we will not accept this. That's the only way it's going to change. Now, if that happens, we're not actually going to have to go to the politicians anyways. Right? So what that means to me, and again, here I admire what all of you are doing, and I support what all of you are doing, I also pretty much disagree with it. And that's just my honest perspective. I disagree with it because where I think the real power is in us. I think we are the real power. In fact, I know that we are the real power. So as long as we keep bringing our power to them, as long as we keep giving them our power, they've still got control. They've still got control. They've still got control. So you've got millions of people around the world who wish that marijuana was a plant that they were allowed to partake in. All right, or millions of people around the world that wish that Monsanto was not a super megacorp that was controlling all of the food production in the United States and around the world. But it's still happening. It's still happening. It's still happening. So the real truth is that we are actually free, and we don't have to participate in any of these things whatsoever if we do not want to. We don't have to. We don't have to. Now, if we rely on the system, if we're dependent upon the system, then we do have to. We do have to. And this is what I really love about sustainability, or what I actually prefer to refer to it is self-reliance. Right? Self-reliance is the real solution. It's the real power. Because when we're self-reliant, we're not dependent. And when we're not dependent, we get to make our own choices. We get to live our life the way that we see fit, the way that we agree, the way that we support. Right? And we can live it with other people that are in alignment with that support that. Right? And it's really not very hard. It's really not very hard. I spent, probably about the last 5 years of my life mastering sustainability or self-reliance. And there's really only 3 really important things in self-reliance. That is food, water, and shelter. Right? If you have food, if you have water, if you have shelter, you've basically got all of your human needs met. Right? And everything else from there is bonus. Everything else from there is bonus. Everything else there is bonus. So, if we, for example, have a piece of land, and we set up a fully sustainable food production system, which for someone like myself is not hard at all, it's actually very easy, and we build houses upon that land, right, that instead of are made of all sorts of expensive materials, inefficient materials, where it costs you a lot of money to build a house, and that house only lasts for 100 years. You got to heat it all winter long. You got to cool it all summer long. You got to pay for your electricity and your water. Plus, your water has fluoride in it, right? So you're being poisoned by it, right? The electricity you're paying double for, because the electricity companies are getting paid by the government already. They're getting paid, and then you're paying them on top of that, right? So that's happening. So you can completely shift that whole paradigm. So instead of spending $500 to $1,000 a month in electricities and utilities, you could easily build a house, and maybe not you, but I can easily build a house that lasts for hundreds to thousands of years instead of 100 years. Same cost, same initial cost, but it lasts 10 times longer. Plus, you don't have to heat it or cool it in the wintertime. It harvests its own electricity, its own water, right? So you don't have to pay utilities of any kind. So every single month, you're saving $500 to $1,000. You've got a food production system that's implemented. It's on automatic. It's on automatic. Once you integrate it properly, it's on automatic. You can set up aquaponic systems that will provide you your fruits, your vegetables, your animal proteins. You can have it all on automatic. It just runs. All you have to do is go out there and harvest the stuff, and then plant a new crop, once or twice a year. Super easy, super realistic, super doable, super possible. Okay? So when you've got your food, and you've got your housing, your electricity, all the stuff that comes with that housing, when those are all taken care of, right? You have a well or some sort of water catchment system, all your main things are taken care of. So, number 1, you don't have fluoride in your water. Whether they put it in everyone else's water or not, it's not in your water, right? You're not dependent upon the grid or the system to provide you that water. So number 1, you're not being poisoned by it, but number 2, you're not dependent on it. So if it collapses, point in time fail. Okay? So number one, not only are you not being poisoned by it on a daily basis, but also you're not dependent upon it. You're self-reliant. So whether it fails or not, you're fine. Your life is the exact same. You've got your food, you've got your shelter, you've got your water, no matter whether the grid has electricity or water or any of that stuff whatsoever. Right? So here's what's really powerful about it, is that the only reason the government and the mega corporations are as powerful as they are is because we pay them all of our money. That's the only reason. All you have to do is ask yourself, do you grow your own food or not? If you don't grow your own food, you're getting it from a megacorp. I mean, 99.9% of all people that don't grow their own food are getting it from a megacorp. If you don't harvest all your water, that water is coming from a megacorp. If you don't create your own electricity, it's all coming from a megacorp. Right? If you don't build your own house, it's all coming from a megacorp. Because all the materials come from a megacorp. Right? So, like, here's what's really crazy to me, is I've met hundreds of people, and I know that there's actually millions of people that hate Monsanto. Right? They don't come to me and, no one's ever come to me and said, oh, you know what the best company in the whole world is? Monsanto. They're so fantastic, they're so great, they're humanitarian, they're sustainable, they're supporting everything about this world that is good and free and holy and great. I just love them. Right? I've never heard anyone say that, yet simultaneously they're one of the biggest powers in the whole world, right? It's not chance, it's happening because they're being paid. Right? And it's the same thing with the electricity companies and Walmart. Why is Walmart so huge? So many people dislike Walmart, and yet they're the biggest retailer in the whole United States. Why? Because millions of people go there and buy their stuff. That's why. Right? So if we get our food from a grocery store, if we get our electricity from a grid, if we get our water from a grid, we are supporting and we're paying for everything we disagree with. So we're coming here, right? And we're all getting together about let's do something, let's implement some change, let's stop the system, but then we're buying food from the system. Right? So we're actually paying for, right? We're actually paying for and we are supporting the things that we're actually here to try to stop. And ultimately, as long as that keeps happening, it's not going to change. It won't change because they're fine. They're fine with protests. They're fine with signs. They're fine with letters and emails and phone calls as long as you keep paying your taxes, as long as you keep buying your food, your electricity, your water from them. I mean, that's really what it all comes down to. That's the real truth. Now, this is a bittersweet reality. The bitter side is that we are the problem. We are the problem. And we are supporting, we are paying for, and we are voting for the problem. The sweet side is that we are also the solution. We are the power. And we, in our own individual capacity, have the power to completely check out. Completely check out of that system, no longer pay, support, or vote for it, right? And actually be simultaneously supporting the downfall of that system, because if everybody did it, which, is really never going to happen, because absolutes don't exist on this earth, it's all this balance, right? But if enough people were to check out, right, we would never have to call the politicians, we would never have to protest, we wouldn't have to change any of the laws, because there just would be no participants in them, right? It's like guns. Guns don't kill people. They don't aim themselves, they don't pull their own trigger. People kill people, right? So as long as there's people that are willing to pick up guns and shoot people, right? And I know all about this, okay? Because I've had, fully battle-ready SWAT teams try to destroy me, right? Because of what I'm doing, because I know the truth, and it's so powerful, right? But as long as we don't give that power, it doesn't get stronger. It doesn't get stronger. So instead of making me more scared, right, instead of making me more subservient, it made me stronger. It made me more dedicated and more clear. This is not okay. This is absolutely not okay. I do not want to leave this world to my children. I don't want my children to grow up in this world. And see, actually, the only reason I am where I am right now is because when I was 17 years old, I had already been depressed for years. I was weak, I was sick. Actually, I was miserable. I was so miserable, in fact, I wished I wasn't alive. And I don't know how many of you have ever experienced that out there that was like, oh, this is so amazing. This is why I came to Earth. This is why I came to Earth, to sit in traffic. Oh, yeah. It's so juicy. You know, it's like, oh, that's what was so horrible. I was like, this is the only options I have. These are the only options I have. None of the options were what I wanted. So I was miserable. I wanted to kill myself. I wished I wasn't alive, but for whatever reason, you could call it, I wasn't brave enough to do it, or, it just wasn't my destiny, and so I didn't. It doesn't necessarily really matter. What matters is I didn't do it. Instead, what I did is I made a choice. I'm going to find something that I've never seen. I'm going to find something I've never seen. So I dedicated my entire life to spirituality. I spent years in meditation. No possessions. I owned nothing. No car payment, no cell phone, no bills, no job, no taxes, no relationships, no family, no friends. Just me. Me and myself and me and the infinite universe. Every single day, meditation. Every single day, meditation. Through the course of this time, I realized how to be healthy. Right? I went from a weak and sick person to being the strongest and healthiest person that I've ever met. And that's, so far, that's a fact. I've been to every continent in the world except for Antarctica. I haven't met people that are healthier than me. I haven't met a single person that's healthier than me. I know pro athletes. I know people that have written books on health, but they still get sick. I don't even get sick. And I've done all sorts of crazy stuff, like spent days out in the snow with no shoes. Right? Or been to Africa and India where there's no plumbing, no running water, no soap, no toilet paper. Feces are on everything. There's flies all over the place, and all the food is prepared around feces. I still didn't get sick. And in fact, I was walking around barefoot in their country where they were terrified to walk barefoot. They'd be like, oh my God, please put on shoes, you'll get a disease. And I'm like, please. Miles and miles of walking, totally barefoot, because I've tapped into something. I've realized something that most people haven't realized. And this is our real power. We are so powerful. We are so powerful. And here's the problem, is that since birth, since we were born, we've been conditioned, we've been suppressed, we've been institutionalized, and we've been conditioned away from that power. And so what I've been doing for the last 13 years of my life is cultivating that power. I haven't had a job in 12 years. I haven't worked for somebody in 12 years. I haven't had a paycheck in 12 years. I haven't paid taxes in 12 years. I haven't bought food at a grocery store or at a restaurant maybe more than once in 12 years. And I eat the best food, man. I eat the best food, and I have more of it than I could possibly eat every single day. And I don't have to sit in traffic. And see, here's the thing, is that there's a lot more to health than eating good food. Like stress, you can eat the best food in the world, and if you're stressed, you're still going to get sick. So stress is actually a much bigger killer on health than even bad food is. I can eat donuts and coffee all day long for weeks, and I don't get sick, and I don't gain any weight, because and that's, that's the truth. Is it's a relationship with myself and the world that's really giving me that health, not the food that I eat. Because I do eat really healthy food that I grow myself, but I also drink coffee, I also eat donuts, I eat cheesecake for dinner, right? Ice cream for dinner. I do those things whenever I want to, and I love it. And it's because I love it that it supports my life. So I really like to talk about all sorts of different facets of life, health and education, money, the law, relationships, spirituality, food, housing, because these are really important things that basically affect all of our lives every single day. And what I'm wanting to do is, like I said, find something and also create something that I've never seen. So I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm not here to tell any of you what to do, what you should do, what you're whatsoever. What I am here to do is to simply say, look, I am already experiencing something that is real. It's real in my life every single day, and it is possible. It is possible, and if it's something that you're excited by or inspired by, it's also possible for you. It's also accessible to you. If you don't want it, that's fine. If you don't want it, that's totally fine. I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to knock on your door. I'm not going to try to convince you. Right? The only reason I'm here right now is because I was invited here. Right? I'm here right now because I want to share. I want to share for anybody that wants to hear what I have to share. That's why I'm here right now. So, let's just look at very simple things like housing. If you were to live in a house, would you prefer a house that lasts for 100 years, that costs $1,000 a month to heat, to cool, to have water? You've got a $30,000 roof repair bill, 4 times. You've got carpeting and paint to redo. You've got plumbing and electricity that you're guaranteed to have problems with. See, these houses are designed that way on purpose. They're designed this way on purpose. They're designed this way on purpose. And as soon as you get one of those, you're already doomed. You may make enough money to be able to pay for something like that, and it's no big deal. Right? But most people on earth can't do that, not realistically. Plus, then you've got the mortgage, right? And that was designed for your failure as well. Some people are able to pay it off, spending way more money than they really would ever have to. And those are like the lucky ones, or the smart ones, or the rich ones, or the dedicated ones that just really make it happen. But those people have to spend a lot of time and a lot of money paying that off. And if they don't pay their bill for 3 months, their house goes into foreclosure. And even though they've been paying for it for 15 or 20 years, every single month, they lose the whole thing. How ridiculous is that? It's designed that way on purpose. So here's my point, is that the whole system is designed for your failure. And as long as you participate in it, you are being beaten down. You are being suppressed. Your time is being stolen from you. So, when you have a reality where you don't have to pay for food, you don't have to pay for utilities, you don't have to repair your house, it's all on autopilot. Now all of a sudden you've got all this free time. And our free time is actually the most valuable resource that we have. It's the most valuable commodity. It is more valuable than anything, our time. We can do anything we want with that time. Just imagine, I don't even know if you've ever experienced it. Just imagine if you never had to work again. You never had to go to school. And you could do whatever you wanted every single day. Some people might just sit on the porch, smoke their pipe, listen to some music, maybe play some music, or be with their kids, watch their children grow, and learn. Spend time with their loved ones, whatever they love doing with their loved ones, or, maybe they take up all sorts of crafts, pottery or blacksmithing or crocheting or leatherworking or, painting or whatever it is you want to do. You have that free time to do it. And if you want to make money, well, then you've got free time to make money. And you can make way more of it because you've got way more time to make. And if you're not spending $10,000 a month just to upkeep your life, food, travel, shelter, utilities, you can invest that 10 grand and turn it into 20 grand. And then invest that 20 grand and turn it into 40 grand. And invest that 40 grand and turn it into 80 grand. Right? Either way, it's a win-win. Either way, it's a win-win. Now, here's the thing, is that we all don't want to grow our own food. And I don't think that we all have to, nor are we supposed to. Nor should we. The solution actually is in people coming together for a common purpose. This is where the real solution is. Because I, for myself, now I've got a lot of skills and a lot of abilities, but if I were to dedicate my time to growing food, I could grow enough food for 100 to 200 people all by myself. Okay? Which means that every single person in this room, times 10, doesn't have to grow any food. None of you have to grow food. You don't have to get out there in the garden. You don't have to get dirty. You don't have to sweat. You don't have to plant seeds. You don't have to pull weeds. You don't even have to pick the food. It's all taken care of. It's all taken care of. It's all taken care of. That's totally realistic. It's totally possible. It's totally available. Right? But we've got to come together. We've got to come together to do that. Right? So if I were to do that with a group of people, then what that means is now those 99 or 199 99 other people, they can do whatever they want with their time. So maybe somebody is just really good at making money. And maybe that's what they do. They make money, they make money, they make money, they make money, they make money. Maybe someone else is really good at making food. And they make the food and everybody eats these amazing feasts every single day. And the person that's making that food loves making the food, and they get up in the day and they're like, ooh, I'm gonna make this for lunch, I'm gonna make this for dinner. And you're just, you're in your office, in your leather chair, and you're on the phone, and you're just making money, and you're just doing that thing, and they just bring you in these big platters full of warm, delicious food, and you just get to eat as much of you want of it, and it's healthy food, right? So it's not poisoning you, it's actually making you stronger, it's making you clearer, it's giving you more energy, and so you sleep even less, and you think even clearer, right? And you don't have to do any of that stuff. And then someone comes in and they pick the dishes up, you don't even have to do the dishes. You don't have to do the recycling. You don't have to do the garbage. You don't have to do any of it because there's someone else that's doing it that loves doing it. Right? This is the power. This is the real power, is when we come together. We come together for common purpose. So we don't all have to look the same. We don't have to have the same color skin. We don't have to have our hair short or have our hair long. We don't have to worship Krishna or Jesus or any of these different religious doctrines, right? We can love each other, we can respect each other, and agree to disagree on certain things, right? I like staying up all night long. Well, I like getting up at the crack of dawn. Okay, that's great, because there's tons of stuff to be done in the middle of the night, and there's tons of stuff to be done at the crack of dawn. And we can both wake up whenever we want to and still contribute to the cause. Right? Very realistic, very doable. We can even have our own houses, right? We don't all have to be in a little tiny dorm. We don't all have to sleep in this one room with, bunk beds where we can hear everyone snore and everyone turn over in the middle of the night. We can have our own nice, super secure, super private, super luxurious bed chambers where we sleep and where we rest and where we're alone, right? We can have whatever we want. We can have whatever we want because there is so much abundance, and this is one of the most important things, is that we are conditioned in this world to see lack. We're conditioned to see lack. There's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough. And if you want to get by, you got to work real hard, real hard, real hard, real hard, real hard, real hard. We're also conditioned to want more, 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 more. I have actually found that more is actually in less. And the quality of life, like for me, waking up whenever I want to every single day, completely rested, to me it's priceless, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything. I really wouldn't, because I've been doing it for 12 years. And I know what it's like to get up in an alarm. I know what it's like to get up because I have to. I know what it's like to go somewhere because I have to. And it doesn't feel good. It just really doesn't feel good. And we don't actually have to. We just agreed, we've just chosen within inside of ourselves that we do have to because of the circumstances of the world. Right? So it's just a little shift in perception. It's just a shift in perception, and all of a sudden the whole world changes. Right? So in many ways, less is actually more. It's like, it doesn't matter how much money you have. And if you do it, and if you look out there, you're going to actually find that there's been books written about this, there's been documentaries done on this, there have been studies done on this where people interview people on their deathbeds, and they ask them, what do you wish was different about your life? What things do you wish you did less of, and what things do you wish that you did more of? And almost everybody says that they wish they spent more time with their family. Almost everybody says that they wish that they played music more, or that they painted more, or that they did the certain things that they really loved, that made them feel alive, that they were inspired by. And they always say, I wish I worked less, I wish I was less stressed, I wish I yelled at my children less, I wish I was there for my children more. Pretty much everybody says the exact same thing. Simultaneously, pretty much everyone in the world is living the opposite to that, because most people spend most of their life in school or at work. And none of us really actually like those things. We're only doing them because we think we have to get something else that we do want. So in this world, we basically think that we have to have money to get everything. And that's pretty much the way it works for most people right now, is that if you don't have money, you have nothing. And if you do have money, you can basically get anything that you want. But it's not actually the money that people want. What people want is the car, or the hot water, or the cell phone, or actually implement a system that provides more food than you can possibly eat, and that abundance is actually a tradable commodity, which now actually pays you. So you're actually paying yourself for your own food. Instead of paying for food, you're actually paying yourself for your own food. Every single time you eat, you're actually paying yourself. Plus, it's healthy, right? So you get to cut out all of the medicines, the pharmaceuticals, the doctor's visits, the dentist visits. Oh man, not only do you save your money on food, you save money on the amount of time and gas it takes to go to the grocery store. I mean, just to drive to the grocery store and drive back, that takes time. You gotta stand in line, you gotta go through all the aisles, then you gotta pay for all the food, you gotta bring it back, you gotta refrigerate it all, put it all up, take it out of the grocery bags, blah, 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 blah. Or you can just go out into your yard, pick the freshest food that you can possibly eat, the exact food that you want, prepare it up, it saves you time, it saves you money, it takes away the tax on the world, because a lot of people don't really care about this. Like, a lot of people don't really care about the earth. A lot of people don't really care about sustainability in and of itself. They're just sort of like, well, whatever. So, that's not my biggest push. I myself care about it a lot. To me, it's really important to leave my environment richer than it was than when I came there. But what I really like to push for people is that you can save money, you can save time, and you can create a more rich lifestyle that is better in every single way with the things that are important to you. You can really customize it to facilitate and to support whatever it is that is really important to you. You don't have to do with your life what I do with my life. Right? That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is you can do with your life whatever you want to do with your life. That's what I'm saying. And that's way more exciting. That's way more exciting. So, what does that look like? What does that look like? What does that look like? How is that really practical? How is that relative? How is that tangible for our lives? So, we're all here right now. We're all here right now. And I like to, make this example about protests, for example. So, let's just say you have 100 people that show up for a protest. That's a pretty good amount of people. And they spend, let's say, 2 days protesting. So 100 people that spend 8 hours a day protesting for 2 days. So that's 800 hours times 2. That's 1,600 man hours. Spent holding up signs, holding up signs, holding up signs. And most of those people that are protesting, they're eating the food from the people that they're holding the signs against. We hate you, Monsanto. Nom, 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 nom. We hate you, Monsanto. Nom, 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 nom. The food from this place and pretty much any restaurant you go to, it's all Monsanto food. Right? So, we're protesting against that. 1,800 man hours used to protest what it is that those 1,800 man hours are actually supporting. So it basically just cancels itself out. It cancels itself out. What if those 100 people for 2 days, what if those 1,800 man hours decided we're going to meet at the Garden of Eden? Or we're going to meet at, Bob's Ranch? Or whatever it is. And we're going to spend these 1,800 hours making compost, or planting seeds, or installing a rainwater collection system, or laying irrigation, or whatever it is. With those 1,800 man hours, amazing realities can happen. Big time realities can happen. What if those 1,800 people, instead of going to the protest, what if those 1,800 people spent their weekend making money? Instead of going to protest, and let's just say each one of those people only made $10 an hour. My guess is that everybody in here can make $10 an hour. If you wanted to, you could find a way to make $10 an hour. So let's take 1,800 man hours times 10. Is that $180,000? Yeah. $180,000 generated for our cause in one weekend. What would you rather have? $180,000 to do with whatever you want to do, or would you rather have 100 people come hold signs for a weekend? You see, that's some powerful shit, my friends. That's real. That's real. That is real. We, if we chose, could generate $180,000 per weekend. We could put that into a fund. With $180,000, I could establish a sustainable food production system that would feed, 1,000 people for the rest of their lives. That's why. No one knows. No one's thought about it. No one's really seen the power. No one's really contemplated the truth.
But even once it is said, there's still people that agree. Like, even I've heard you talk to people already, and everyone loves to be like, I agree 100%,
Right.
but
Right.
and that's sort of,
Well, so let's make it very real. Why don't you?
yeah. I mean, that's why I'm taking some time at your place right now. You know.
So, this would be a really great thing. Watch this presentation. And spend the next couple days, couple weeks while you're at the Garden of Eden, processing this. And really ask yourself, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with your life? And look at the path that your life was on before you came to the Garden of Eden. And then look at the path of your life and what it may be like if you were to implement the things that I'm talking about right now. You can see that it's a completely different life. Completely different life. The path that you were on before you met me is completely different if you implement the realities of which I'm saying are possible since you met me. Completely different life.
Absolutely. And I think people, being at the Garden of Eden, no, not everybody does want to live that way, and I understand that, but there's a balance that people can find where they can sort of live in this comfortable way that we seem to like to live in, but produce that comfort from ourselves, build your comfortable house yourself versus buying it from these big, places. So, yeah, I don't know. I just am waiting to see.
Again, it's a lot more complicated if we start looking at it as though every single person has to implement their own sustainable food production system. Every single person has to build their own house. Every single person has to figure out how to build solar panels and wind turbines and water collection tanks and irrigation and blah 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 blah. If every single person has to learn how to do that, there's pretty much no hope. There's no hope. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. That's why what I'm saying is you don't have to do what I do. All you have to do is start supporting what it is that I do. Instead of paying all the freaking money for the stuff at this restaurant and at that grocery store and at that utility company, start saying, hey, how might I be able to reinvest this money in a way that actually paid off? Not just in my own well-being and my own freedom, but also in the well-being and the freedom of the planet Earth. Right? Because there are ways, there are solutions. I know a lot about a lot of things that most people in their entire lives aren't ever going to know. And maybe aren't ever going to care about. And that's why I'm here. I'm not here to tell you to start growing your own food. I admire you if you do. I'm thankful if you do, but I'm not here to tell you to grow your own food. What I'm here to tell you to do is to begin to support independent food production, sustainable food production, local food production. That's what I'm here to tell you to do. So, you either grow it yourself. If you love growing food, that's a great option. If you don't, find somebody who does, because there's a lot of people that do. We have all the time, we have all the resources, it's just being improperly applied. It's being improperly applied. We're taking all of our time and we're giving it all to the system. That's a fact.
Okay, we have the philosophy. How about the basics of the underpinnings, the structure, if you were going to tell me, okay, next month I'm going to do this, what steps, what things am I going to need to get started?
Right. So, number one, we've got to have a piece of land. We've got to have a piece of land. Now, this is one of the things that catches up a lot of people because they're like, oh, well, I don't have a piece of land. And what I say is you don't need a piece of land. Because if you ever looked at the United States, have you seen how much land there is? It's all available. All you have to do is know one person that has land. So what I tell people is I say, look, if you have no money, and you don't really have any hope of making money because your parents don't have money, you don't come from a family that has money, you don't have an education that's going to make a ton of money, you're a smart and capable individual, but there's really no hope for you having money. You don't need to have it. All you need to do is learn how to build sustainable homes or learn how to implement sustainable food production systems. And then you can go to someone that has a piece of land. Okay, and there's a lot of people that have big pieces of land that they do nothing with them. Or they have big pieces of land and they've got this one little house on there and they get all their food from Walmart. Right? And they're making tons of money because they go to work every single day and they got their big screen TVs and they got all this stuff, but they're never going to implement a sustainable food production system because they're working all day. So you go to a person like this and you say, hey, look, here's what I can do. For this amount of money and this amount of time, I can set up a fully sustainable food production system on your piece of land, which will provide you all of your fruit, all of your vegetables, and all of your meat protein 365 days a year. And I will do that for you if you will agree to let me build a little small building on your big piece of land, and you will let me eat this food, and you will let me keep 10% of the profits, 10% of the excess profits of that food. It's a great deal for both people involved, because that person that is spending $50,000 a year on food, they could give you that $50,000 once. You can implement a fully sustainable food production system that would then provide food 365 days a year for 50 years. So you just saved yourself $50,000 times 50. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Anybody that knows business knows investment, right? It's all about investment. That's what it all is. It's all investment. Where are you investing your resources? Where are you investing your time? If you invest your resources at Walmart, you don't ever get anything from it. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone. Everything you spend is gone. It's gone, it's gone. And then you've got to re-earn it again, and then re-spend it and it's gone. And then re-earn it again and re-spend it and it's gone. Right? So if you're a businessman, you know that you can't ever grow your business if your profits are the same as your costs. You can't grow a business. In fact, it's really not a business at all. If you don't have more profits than your costs and your overhead, it's not a business. You know? So it's the same thing with our life. If you are buying food, it's a consumable, it's a disposable. You buy it and it's gone, and then you got to re-buy it again every single day. Same thing with the electricity, same thing with the water, same thing with your house. You buy a house, and by the time you die and you give it to your children, it's already like an old house, and it needs all these repairs. I mean, all you're doing is giving your children debt. Whereas if you build a house that not only requires no utilities, but it lasts for 1,000 years, you give your child a fully sustainable life that they can now inherit and live the whole rest of their life. They've already got everything for the rest of their life already taken care of. And it's all just bonus. They can do whatever they want with the whole rest of their entire life. Can you imagine what it would be like to grow up? To grow up in a world where you didn't have to go to school, you didn't have to work a job, and you could do whatever you wanted every day. Now some people, they make the argument, well, if we could do whatever we wanted every day, all we do is play video games or be totally irresponsible. I see that as a complete misconception. I see that as the conditioning of the world. And I actually have children, and I've been speaking to parents around the world on parenting since way before I had children. And the parents that are really listening, they agree with what I'm saying. The parents that are not listening, they like to use the excuse of, oh, well, you don't have children, so how could you possibly know what it's like? Well, I've proven that. I've already proven that now. I'm completely and totally right about what I'm doing. That doesn't mean it's true for other people, but it is true for me because I know how it works. When children are given freedom, and they're also given responsibility, meaning accountability, for their actions, they are honorable, they're capable, they're loving, they're nurturing, they're supportive, they listen. I mean, it's just amazing to see what type of children can really be when they're not scolded, guilted, shamed, punished, bribed, rewarded, conditioned every single day of your life. And that's what happened to all of us. I've never met anybody so far that wasn't basically conditioned every single day of their life. So, practically, we need a piece of land, but that's all over the place. It exists, and you don't even need money to get it. I already proved that. Now, maybe you have land, okay? Well, if you have land, you either, one, have to learn how to implement your own sustainable food production system, or two, you have to make a team with somebody who does. That's what you have to do. So, how many people in this room right now are capable of integrating a fully sustainable food production system in 1 year that will provide all the fruit, vegetables, and meat protein that you can need 365 days a year?
One.
On 1 year.
One? more food than we already need right now, because I can grow enough food for 100 or 200 people. So if you could grow food for 100 people, and you could grow food for 100 people, and you could grow food for 100 people, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 500 people that just you and just us could support. That's power. We've already got, in this room right now, we've already got way more than enough. And in fact, even if it was just me, we've already got way more than enough, because I can easily grow enough food for all of you. What?
But look, why is that not gonna happen? Like,
It may happen. It's happening. It's happening. The question is are you going to be a part of it? It's happening. It's already happening. The question is are you going to be a part of it? That's the question.
can I ask a question to the room? Like, what would it take for you guys to just jump on board with that? Like, what is the, yeah, what would that take? Because that's the question.
I'm actually trying to get my health in order so that I can do that. I have diabetes, so I don't want to go in with my health excuse. So I want to find my mind, body, spirit balance before I can divest.
And are you working a job?
Yes.
How are you going to find that while you're working all the time?
I feel that I can't afford to go get I'm going to see a chiropractor and an acupuncturist, and I can't afford that without the job I have.
Okay, so how many people in here know how to go from diabetes to no diabetes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in this room know how to go from diabetes to no diabetes.
I've done the raw food diet, I've done exercise, but I have scoliosis, so how can I reverse my diabetes and my body's not?
Well, it may not be a short conversation. It may not be a short conversation. And if you ever want to actually get into it, you may contact me someday. Okay? The point that needs to be made here is that just in this room right now, the solution already exists.
So that's one person. What else? What's the hesitation?
I think what he's trying to ask, his question is, how I can gain this knowledge to do what I need to do, to be free. That's what he's asking.
No, what I'm asking is literally what is holding us all back from talking, being like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. This is a bunch of like lovely people in a room that all share the same goals. So let's do it. Or similar goals, maybe not the same goals, of course, but everybody wants to live in abundance and kind of, yeah.
I think the answer is individual. What's holding you back? Or what's holding me back?
He just got here.
No, it's true. What's holding me back, honestly, I am now trying to get my brain around it, which maybe is what everybody else is doing, but I think what's holding me back is fear. I don't have anybody around me saying like, yeah, let's all do it. I'm scared to jump in a pool alone. I sometimes feel like I'm 23, so I don't know anything, and everybody is like, you're wrong. So those things are holding me back, but I can address them, and I think maybe we should all address what's holding us back.
Perhaps you could go out there and get hands-on and see it and
He is
decide.
out
That's what I'm doing.
Good.
He just got there yesterday.
2 days ago.
Okay,
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
cool.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I don't live at the garden like some people do, but I'm out there quite often because I have friendship ties and I've recently been hanging out a lot. But something that you're not getting a picture of here, and we could talk about this after the presentation, is that even though Quinn is standing there saying, I can get up whenever I want, do whatever I want, he's always doing something, and anybody who lives in the house that lives there, everybody has made a verbal contract, and everybody has responsibilities, everybody has commitments they have to keep. Even though I don't live there, I go over frequently to eat all I can stand for free, but I'm also longer conversation. But if you don't know Quinn and you haven't been out there, it does seem like, oh yeah, here's one more guy that doesn't want to, he's just sitting there going, well, I know how to do all this stuff, but I don't have a job, so, I'm just cool. Well, it's not that way. And he has the greatest kids. Well, the little one's still too little to do anything, but his 2-year-old daughter is incredible. Go online, go on Facebook and look at all the pictures of Kiki and all the things she knows how to do. That child is just, there aren't enough words to describe how fantastic she is.
It's
And,
true.
and she does everything everybody else does. Nobody ever tells her you're too little to do that. She just does it.
And this is only one person's version of their like perfect reality. You know what I mean? Like
That's not
your
perfect.
or what you want to be doing. Everybody's
Right,
doing
so-
it in their own way.
So again, that's why I kept saying is I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you that it is possible to live the most awesome life that you want to live. And there are certain core things that must be taken care of for that to happen. Because as long as you're drinking water with fluoride in it, I'm sorry, you're not going to be like this. You just won't. And if you're eating Burger King and McDonald's and La Madeline on a daily basis, you're not going to be like this. You just won't be. You just won't be. As long as you're working every day to pay for your food, to pay for your house, your mortgage, your gas, your tie, your suit, your electricity, your blah, 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 every single thing that you have, you get with money. You really don't create anything yourself. In the United States, almost no one makes anything. In fact, the United States doesn't make anything. All we do is print money. All we do is print paper. It's not even money, it's just paper, it's just digits. All we do is print money. That's the only reason why we are where we are, is because we tricked the world into believing that this paper had value to it. And here's a real big thing. I don't know how much you guys know about this, but it's gonna collapse. It's gonna collapse. It's in the process of collapsing right now. There are worldwide coalitions happening where whole countries are making it illegal to use the US dollar. Whole countries that are bypassing the US trade, right? One point in time, the United States USD was the world trade standard. Every single foreign trade that was made, no matter what country you were, you had to do it in the United States USD, Federal Reserve note, right? So all these countries are buying millions, billions of pieces of paper that we just print. There's no gold, there's no silver, there's no backing. We just print it, and they're giving us their gold, their furs, their coffee, their tobacco. They're just giving us all these resources for these pieces of paper so that they can trade with other countries to get more stuff. But we're just printing it. Well, a lot of countries have realized that that's what's happening, so they're not using it anymore. They're giving it all back. We don't want this paper anymore. We don't want this paper anymore. The United States doesn't make anything but paper.
Same bankers own all.
Just at Monsanto on the paper.
Same bankers own all those currencies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Every
But-
central bank is owned by one group of folks.
Right. I absolutely agree, and that's why this is the solution worldwide. This is the solution worldwide. What's going to happen in the United States is just part of the worldwide ebb and flow. The bankers go into economies, they boom economies, and then they go into other economies and they collapse economies. And every single time they collapse the economy, they consolidate all the wealth. They take all the resources for themselves. And these small group of people, every single year, they have more and more and more. And the people, the middle class people, the lower class people, the 99% of people have less every single year. People work more and they have less. They eat more, but they're less healthy. Yes.
It's sad that when it all goes and everybody's desperate, they're gonna come and take what's yours and take you out.
Maybe, and that's why I'm trying to get you guys on board before you come steal my shit.
Well, what you need to do is you need to partner and clone yourself so that you spread the idea. Because
That's what we
in
are.
Cuba,
That's what he's doing here.
when they got their last check from the Soviet Union, the collapsing Soviet Union, they went into immediate economic collapse. And what they said is over a year and a half, nobody starved to death, but they totally remade their economy into a local distributed agricultural community. Everyone got very thin, no one died.
Yeah, most of us could stand being a little thinner.
you been on Spirko's show?
I have not.
You need to be on
Give
it.
us a phone number.
Yes. I do need to be on, and,
Is he
you
the
know,
guy,
here's,
is he the guy that has like 80,000 listeners?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ask for a fortune.
We haven't been.
yeah, I wasn't on the show, but he did a show about us. So my most practical suggestion for this particular meeting would be that we just agree to have another meeting.
Yes.
That would be the most practical thing that's available right now, is that we agree to have another meeting at some point in time where we get together to talk about the reality of this, the realistic, the logistical, the details about it. Anybody that's interested in that, of course, can participate, and everyone that's not, of course, don't come.
Do you do group tours of Garden of Eden?
I don't do group tours, but if I had a group large enough, I would be happy to do a group tour. That's another really great thing, is that if you know people that have radio shows, if you know people that have magazines or TV shows or blogs, let them know about what I'm doing. Say, hey, have you checked this out? Have a look at this. Let's see how we can get this spread out to more people.
Are you familiar with Damanhur in Italy, and if
Yes.
so, is your system similar?
I think my system is quite a bit better myself. And again, we're all individuals, we're all different, and so, I love them, I support them, I admire what they're doing, I totally respect and I support them. But there's certain things I like about my system more. If there's people that prefer that system, then by all means, go to that system. As long as you're free, as long as you're happy, as long as you're healthy, that's all that matters. And what I'm saying here is that we don't all have to agree. We don't all have to do the things the same way. We don't have to live in the same house. We don't have to grow, eat the same foods. We could grow potatoes and we could grow corn. Some person can eat potatoes every day. Some person can eat corn every day. It doesn't mean that we have to be like, well, I think potatoes are not as good as corn, and so we should outlaw the potatoes. And then everyone's like, yeah, let's put it to a vote. It doesn't have to be like that. If there's only one person that eats potatoes, I'm the gardener. I can throw a couple seeds here for the potatoes. It's no big deal. I have no problem with growing those potatoes. And, people with the corn, I have no problem growing that corn. We don't have to have that dogma, right? We don't have to have that dogma. This is the real big problem, is that everyone has their own individual reasons why they can't do it, or why it won't work. Whether it's health, whether it's money, whether it's knowledge, whether it's experience, whether it's age, everyone has their reason. But the real truth is that the only reason is that we have been conditioned since birth to not be ready. We've been conditioned since birth to be scared. We've been conditioned since birth to be intimidated. We've been conditioned since birth to be terrified of change, to be terrified of the unknown. Oh my God, this life is crazy. Maybe that guy's really just an alien and he's just trying to steal people's souls. There's always some reason. Right? Oh yeah, trust me guys, I've been around the world doing controversial stuff for a long time. People call me the Antichrist, people call me Satan, people call me, Manson and, cult leaders. Say what? Yeah, some people call me Jesus too, right? So I get the full range of the spectrum, and I just, I don't take any of it on as who I am. I just am who I am, and your perception of me is just your perception of me. What I can say is that these realities are happening. They are available. They are accessible. They actually are simple. They're practical. They're way more efficient in every single way. They're superior in every single way, and you can do with that whatever you want.
Okay, it has been said by some
Yes.
that the only rights you have are those you defend in court. Now, you may not agree with that or that concept, but with that, posing that, I also am posing something that may be somewhat of a solution, is that there was a movement a while back in Texas to take one of the less populated counties, take some large tracts of land, divide it up. You can be an absentee landowner in Texas, and you can vote in the local elections there where you own land.
Right.
And you
But you know, it's really not, it tends to.
It so does, exactly. It totally does.
That's constant.
Yeah.
Well, I got the impression they were shaking their heads that we would like to have you back again, so we do that, we can
Regina?
talk about it. Yes, sir.
Because it's kind of so apropos, I think, would you like Jimmy to dialogue a little bit for maybe 3 minutes on how Libya was handling things in Libya with the tribes, how the economy was working before it got destroyed there?
Worked out problems?
How they worked out problems, just the whole thing, because that to me sounds like a evolution of
The
some of the
tribal
same
people.
principles we're talking about here. I don't know, what do you think, Jimmy?
It was a pure democracy, and anybody that had complaints started at the lowest level, like a community meeting, town hall meeting, and then if it wasn't resolved there, it kept moving up through. But they had a pure democracy that went all the way to the top through the tribes. And if anybody was wanting, then there were warehouses and food stores for them. The government spent what money they needed to operate the government. The rest of it was participated out amongst the people. And consequently, they had the highest standard of living in Africa, higher average salary than India or China, and everybody was happy, no debt, no tax, and pretty neat place. It's blown all to hell now, but Gaddafi was doing the gold backed dinar because he didn't like the toilet paper bankers, and so the gold backed currency for the continent of Africa would have taken over the world currency. That's why they had to kill him and get him out of there. But you're right, the hard assets have been traded for toilet paper by these bankers, and the Rothschild Group owns all the central banks. So they play with currencies, and everybody that is not part of their team or their group ends up working